Hello, everyone. Welcome to TLU's Student Ambassador Panel. My name is Elliot Powell, and I'm the Director for Transfer, Graduate, and Veteran Admissions here at TLU. At this time, I'm going to ask the panelists to turn on their cameras. Hello, all. So we are excited that you are joining us today. This panel is part of our continuing virtual TLU Showcase. And this showcase is a series of events that will highlight TLU community members, like current students that you are seeing today, faculty, and alumni. So with me today, I have 5 current TLU students who are also student ambassadors. So some of them came in as freshman students, one came in as a transfer student. So they're excited to share with you their TLU experience. All of them have been through the enrollment process and have been through the steps that you are currently going through or about to go through. So we know that meeting current students is important when selecting a college or university. And our hope with this panel is just to give you an understanding of what it's like from a student perspective to be a student at TLU. So before we get started with the panel, I just want to share that we know students and families have had some questions about what campus and classes will look like in the fall. So currently those plans are being finalized by our president and COVID-19 leadership team. Additional updates will be provided in the coming months, starting with a message from our president, which will be emailed shortly. So now to get started, I'd like to have the panel introduce themselves. So panelists, please include your name, major, and hometown. So we're going to start with Elise.
Hi, everyone. My name is Elise Gray, and I am a senior integrated science and psychology major, and I'm originally from San Antonio, Texas.
Thanks, Elise. And then Mitch.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mitch. I'm a senior kinesiology major with the dual specialization in exercise science and sport and fitness management, and I'm originally from Round Rock, Texas.
Thanks, Mitch. And then Cassie.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cassie Nieto. I'm a senior social entrepreneurship major, and I specialize in nonprofit development. I'm also a triple minor in public relations, communications, and business. And I'm from New Braunfels.
Great. Thanks, Cassie. And then Nick.
Hi, y'all. My name's Nick. I'm a kinesiology exercise science major, and I'm from Houston, Texas.
And then finally, Jesse.
How's everybody doing? My name is Jesse. I'm a molecular biology major with a music minor, and I am also from San Antonio, Texas.
Great. Thanks all for introducing yourselves. So now that they've introduced themselves, we're going to get started with questions from the viewers. So when you all RSVP'd for the event, you had the opportunity to submit initial questions through a registration form. So we'll get started with those questions first. As we're asking questions, just be thinking about additional questions that come up, as we will be requesting those questions as time allows at the end of this portion after we get through these registration questions. And we'll be requesting those through the chat feature at the bottom of your Zoom window. So for the first RSVP question, what does a typical day look like for a TLU student? And I will direct that question first at Elise.
So that's a great question. We typically have some pretty busy days, but both academic and fun. Our classes typically, they can start at 8 a.m. and run till about 3:45 unless there's an evening class, and you wouldn't have class all day, but you do have different times that your class would be scheduled. And our students, myself included, if we have time in between different classes, we take that time to study or hang out with friends. And then of course you have a lunch break. And typically when we're finished with classes in the afternoon, students will go to their different clubs, organizations, student athletes will go to practice, or you can go to band, choir, orchestra rehearsal. And then also throughout the day, if you have a job on campus or off campus, students will also have that in between classes.
Great, thanks Elise. And then Nick.
So a typical day for me, at least, I'll usually start my days around 8 a.m. and then I'll usually have a couple morning classes. I'll usually take a break for lunch around 12 and then pick back up with a couple more afternoon classes. Me personally, I'm a student athlete here at TLU. And so I'll usually have practice around 4 o'clock, get done with practice around 6 o'clock, and then go back to my apartment, shower, do some homework, study, and then make some dinner and call it a night.
Great, thank you both. I just wanted to mention that we had a lot of really great questions that came in before the event. So that's great. We're excited that you are interested in getting those answers. I will be directing the questions to, a couple of our students for each one. So you will be able to hear from everyone, but just wanted to mention that we do have a lot of questions to get through, which we're excited about. So the next question is, what makes TLU a great school? And there was kind of two questions about this. So what makes TLU a great school? And then what makes TLU unique from other schools? So I'm going to direct that at Cassie.
So to me, what makes TLU so unique is what also makes it great. I know when I was applying to other schools, I didn't feel like it was a family. And from the very first time I contacted a mission representative to now, I've constantly felt like I had such a good support system around me. My mission representative at the time would email me any questions. They would check up on me, and it just was a very special connection. And I was able to really build those connections through my on-campus job, which is through missions, a sorority, so my friends, and really my professors. So what makes it so great is that you really get those one-on-one connections that are going to help you in the future. So I've gotten a lot of internship opportunities, grad school opportunities. I've gotten to study abroad. So just really building that little home is what makes it really unique and such a great school, in my opinion.
Great, thanks, Cassie. And then Mitch.
So the big thing for me that makes TLU really unique is basically everything that the school does is all geared towards student success. We have so many great professors that they are here for the fact that they're passionate about the TLU community and really making sure that the students are successful. A lot of the professors will go outside of office hours and outside of classes, really going above and beyond to connect students with potential internships, potential jobs. If you just need extra homework help, all the professors and all the faculty and staff across campus, they work really, really hard to make sure that the students ultimately come first.
Great, thanks, Mitch. So the next question is, what student programs and clubs are available to join? And we'll start with Jesse.
Awesome. So here at TLU, we have a great kind of arts program when it comes to music and theater, also choir. You can always join once you get here. There is no wait time. You don't have to have a whole year of lessons. You just can go straight into it. The ensembles, and you also get to have a scholarship if you qualify. So it's just a nice way to kind of balance the work and play of school. There are also just a plethora of organizations been created. For example, there's one called Water to Thrive. They are here on campus holding events to make funds for wells in underdeveloped places. That way they kind of give back. So TLU extends from the campus to other parts of the world, really. Other than that, I would just say, just keep your eyes open. And if there's something that you feel isn't on campus, you can be the one that plants the seed to get it on campus. So that's kind of my view on that.
Great, thanks, Jesse. And then Cassie.
So I cannot talk today, I'm so sorry. But adding on from what Jesse said is there's just so many organizations. If you're interested in something, you're gonna find a club here. There's religious organizations you can get a part of. There's community service organizations that you can get a part of. We have a nice Greek life that's at TLU too that hosts a lot of events. There's academic organizations you can get a part of, like the National Society of Leadership and Success, which you can get into after your freshman or after your first semester. There's clubs like an art club. So there's just a lot of ways you can get connected, and it's going to be something that you want to do. And it's super easy to start an organization as well. I think you need 3 students and an advisor, which is a faculty member. So super easy.
Great, thanks, Cassie. And so the next one is are work study or student employment jobs available to freshmen? And so I will answer the first part of that. So work study is awarded to students based off of the FAFSA. So that's something that would be offered to you on your financial aid offer letter. So if that's something that was included on that, then yes, you could do work study as a freshman student. I know that Mitch, I'm going to go to you next. There's also student employment jobs as well. So kind of as you're at TLU longer, there's some jobs that will become available. And Mitch, you can kind of talk a little bit more about that.
Thanks, Elliot. So second semester of your freshman year is normally when you want to start looking at any leadership positions or leadership jobs on campus. So these include residence assistants, your RAs that help out in the dorms, peer mentors, which help out with your first year classes, admissions ambassadors, like what all the panelists are. And then there are a whole bunch of other opportunities, but normally you start to apply for those jobs the second semester of your sophomore or your freshman year, excuse me. So it's kind of a good idea to understand coming into TLU what you want to do. If you do want to work for the school, work for the university, you can. But second semester is really when you will start to get all that information and really figure out what it is that you want to do while working at TLU.
And then Jesse.
Okay, so just to touch on what Mitch had said, there are a lot of opportunities that come with being on campus, and the one that I wanted to focus on too was the res life position. A lot of people, when they get to Texas Lutheran, the one thing they need to worry about is kind of, funding their education, and that's a very, very, real thing to think about. And the unique position that the res life position gives is some housing. So if you are looking towards kind of being involved with that, just know your first semester is when you kind of get acclimated to student life. So you aren't eligible to apply then, but after your semester, you can go ahead and apply and then just reapply until you get it. It's a great position. And I believe there's some other questions coming soon that'll elaborate more on that position.
Yeah, thanks, Jesse. Great segue. So you already covered one of the questions that a student had more about the requirements for being an RA. You can expand on that if you want to as well, but some other students were asking about, dorms. One asked which is the newest. So maybe if you could talk about the options for freshman students. And then another one asked, are incoming freshmen allowed to choose their dorm? So if you could just talk a little bit about that, that'd be great.
Awesome. So the two routes you'll go as a freshman on traditional years are Centennial and the South Halls area. You'll learn more about that when you come to campus. The newest building would be Centennial. It has classrooms on the first floor and then 2 stories of resident areas. And they're usually just divided by gender, but depends on how, the gender kind of divide when you get to the incoming class. So sometimes we will have half and half, a whole floor and a whole floor. But those are basically your 2 options. And then just to elaborate a little bit more on the requirements to be an RA, you just have to make sure you're in good standing with your grades. That will always come first. Education is big at TLU, so make sure that is always in your front view. Second is good standing with the school. And then lastly is just to be a full-time student. So those are the big 3, along with some other ones that would get told to you as you're applying.
Great, thanks, Jesse. And just kind of additional information about signing up for housing. So you are required to submit your deposit and your meningitis shot record before you're able to sign up for housing. So, or to at least submit your housing application. So that's what they use to put you in housing. So it's always good, if you are deposited, make sure that that gets in. And then if you are admitted, but you want to attend TLU, you would need to submit that deposit, that meningitis shot record, and then you would have access to that housing application, which is currently open. So the next question, how does tutoring work? And we'll go with Mitch.
So at TLU, there are 2 different types of tutoring, you could say. We have SIs and we have CLAs. SIs are supplemental instructors, and I'm actually an SI for our accounting department. And SIs are students who have done really well in a class with a high drop rate. So your anatomies, your chemistries, your accountings, the classes that are normally viewed as more difficult or just a little more rigorous. The students who are going to be your SIs for those classes have done well in the class. And then they come back and sit in on the class again, take notes with the class, and then they'll run their own study sessions outside of the class. So I basically will sit in on class, and then 2 to 3 times a week, I'll get on the Zoom or the Teams app, and I'll host my own study session. I'll go over practice problems, answer questions on homework, anything like that, elaborate a little bit. Then we also have collaborative learning assistants, our CLAs. Now, these students are normally just upper level students within a specific major, and they sit in the library basically with open hours for you to come or make appointments, and you can just go down there and ask for assistance. And so the main two that I highlight are the physics CLAs and the math CLAs. So it'll be an upper level math major. And then if you're struggling with a college algebra course or pre-cal course, you can take your homework or your information, anything that you're struggling with, and go to that CLA for that major, and they will sit down and help you through that. So both options, there's usually something offered for each class that you're in, especially those that are very math and science heavy. And something else I like to highlight is it's completely free. So you might as well take advantage of it if the option is there, and it can make or break your grade. My anatomy SI was the reason that my grade moved from a B up to an A. So definitely a lifesaver if you're kind of struggling on a course, or even if you just want a little extra practice. Go in and take full advantage of that resource, because they're ultimately there to help you, and they do a fantastic job with their jobs.
Great, thanks, Mitch. So the next person, I think they're interested in music. So they asked how many people graduate with a music major at your university. I don't think we have the exact numbers for that, but Elise is involved with music. And so she said that she would share a little bit about being involved in music at TLU.
So something really fun and interesting is you guys might have noticed I'm not a music major, but I'm really thankful that I'm still able to participate and be a big part of the School of Music. I am in orchestra and I play the viola, and I've been able to do that since my freshman year. And that is honestly one of my favorite things about TLU, just the fact that I can do both. And I also get a scholarship for being in orchestra, so I get paid to do what I love and have fun with it. And aside from orchestra, we have band, choir, and dramatic media options. And we have rehearsals weekly. And we also all have our own concerts. Sometimes we will do concerts that are mixed. So sometimes the band will come play with the orchestra, or the choir will sing with the orchestra. So it's fun. It's a really collaborative environment. That's one of the main reasons I met Jesse, was through music. And we also have lessons. And so we're able to work closely with the professional who plays our same instrument, and learn and grow in that way, aside from group rehearsals or group sectionals. So it's just really rewarding and a really great family to be a part of.
Great, thanks, Elise. And if you were the one that asked that question, feel free to reach out to our office if you had additional questions on the music major. So the next question, for students who may be introverted and concerned about being away from home, how can they make friends on campus? So we will go back to Jesse, our residence life expert, guru.
Awesome, thank you for that. So I wanted to kind of tackle both of those questions, being introverted and being away from home. So sometimes they go hand in hand. Sometimes you might be an extrovert who just misses being around the people they know. So I just wanted to say that both of those can be kind of remedied by the organizations on campus and by Res Life. So for me, as somebody who spent my entire life basically at home growing up, I didn't get a car until I was in community college. So once I got here, it was a lot of freedom, and also just a lot of me kind of missing the routine, kind of missing being with my parents and my family and the friends I knew. I flocked towards my music friends, because I was a music minor, and basically got involved with some awesome organizations like the Greek Life here, which for those of you who don't know are fraternities and sororities. So after my first semester, I went ahead and I rushed for one of the fraternities. Well, two. I'm in a national and a service, both of which fulfill me greatly. I made a lot of friends from both. And lastly, I just wanted to say, if you're not so much of my route, which is I really just liked being around people, we have made a lot of strides this last semester, kind of accommodating the, I guess, COVID policies, but kind of in the same vein, getting some ideas for those who kind of don't want to be outside the room so much. We've been doing a lot of drop-off programs, a lot of DIYs from home, Zoom programs. So if you're somebody who's introverted, I guess, and doesn't really want to branch out too far too quickly, I do recommend taking part of some of those. I just left a DIY shower bomb for my residents, so they have a lot of fragrances all over the Stager apartments right now. And you can also just come out to the courtyard and participate with those programs if you want to be in person. So no matter if you're just missing home or you just want to kind of chill in your own space, there's always something to help you.
Great, thanks, Jesse. Great info. So the next question is, are you required to take a religion class at TLU? And Elise, can you answer this?
Yes. So students are required to take one theology course. And then in addition, you can pick whether, like for your second course, you can take either a theology or a foreign language. So only one is required, but if students would like, they do have the option to take a second one.
Great, thanks, Elise. And that theology class is a world religions course. So you're going to be learning about different religions, faith traditions, and all of that. So the next question is, how do you balance your academic workload? Can you talk about balancing academics and athletics? Someone asked about time management. So it seems like a lot of balancing they want to know about. So we'll start first with Mitch on that question.
So my biggest recommendation is find a way to keep track of everything. Because I'll be honest, there are times when you have just a lot going on, whether it's just homework or homework and organizations, athletics, that sort of thing. All first year students throughout orientation will get a planner. And my freshman year, that planner was my best friend because I had to write literally everything down that I was involved in. Yeah, Elisa's got hers right there. So the planner will save your life. The main thing is just staying organized and staying on top of your stuff. It's really easy to just not pay attention, to miss a deadline, and all of a sudden you're doing the stereotypical that you see in movies, the 4 a.m. study sessions fueled by coffee, but those aren't really necessary if you stay on top of your work and you keep track of deadlines and you start your work ahead of time. But the main thing is just organization. Get a binder to keep track of all your papers and your homework, set reminders in your phone, use the calendar app if you need to do that, color code your planner. I know that a lot of my former students that I've worked with used too many colors of pens, in my opinion, but it was what they had to do to keep themselves organized. So the main thing is just making sure that you keep track of everything in whatever fashion works best for you.
Great, thanks, Mitch. And then one of the questions was specifically about balancing academics and athletics. Nick, can you kind of talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so piggybacking off of Mitch's tips of kind of just staying organized, my biggest advice would be to plan ahead. Trust me, there's absolutely nothing worse than getting home from an away game at like 11:30 at night and you having an assignment due at 11:59 the exact same night. If you plan ahead, like what Mitch was talking about, kind of put in your planner that you have something due, then you should probably get it done before for the trip. That'll definitely just save you a lot of headache, a lot of hassle. And going to my second tip is just staying disciplined. I mean, I know it's really easy to take that hour long, that 30-minute nap before practice, but if you have a little bit of free time, it's definitely a good idea to get some homework done or get some studying done.
Great, thank you both. So the next question was, can you talk about the financial aid process and where you applied for scholarships? So I'll actually chime in on that question. So when you were admitted, so all of you that are in this session were admitted students. So when you were admitted, you were given an academic scholarship. So that's something that's already on your file your application for admission served as your application for that scholarship. So you have that on your file now. And then other financial aid awards will be on your financial aid offer letter. So that was something that was sent to you after filling out the FAFSA. If you haven't filled that out yet, that's fine. You can still send that to us, but you'll get an email update once that financial aid offer is available. And then you'll be able to view that on My TLU. So if you ever have any questions about your financial aid offer or scholarships, financial aid, we do have one-on-one appointments that you can do virtually. We're also open in person as well, but you can meet with either an admissions representative or a financial aid representative, and we can kind of talk with you more about that letter and then kind of what the awards mean on there. So please do reach out if you have additional questions on that. So for the next question, how many students are generally in a class? And there's two questions that kind of pertain to this. And can you talk about the small class experience? So we'll start with Nick on this question.
So something about the small class experience that I realized was you really get to know your professors. I mean, these are people who hold doctorates, who hold masters in their specific area of study, who've done, I mean, countless hours of research in what they're teaching. So they're definitely super, super knowledgeable in their field. And based off personal experiences, I've made really, really good relationships with some of my professors. And I've even been lucky enough to get internship opportunities because of them.
Great feedback. Thanks, Nick. And then Cassie.
So I like to say that my smallest class here at TLU has been 4 students, including me, and my biggest class was like maybe 30 students, and it was a general business class. I think it was my principles to marketing. So even at the 30 student range, it was still smaller than most of my high school classes that I took, which I thought was very nice. A really nice perk about having small classes is just really getting to know your professor. They really do hold you accountable, which is really nice. They want to see you succeed. So with the small class size, you're going to get that one-on-one attention. And then I also like that you really get to know your classmates too. You get to build those connections. Even if it's not someone in your major, it's going to be someone who's going to be successful one day with their college degree from TLU. So you get to build those connections where you get to build friends that way, but you also get to build really amazing connections with your professors because they do care about you and they will offer you internship opportunities, recommendation letters if you decide to go to grad school or apply for a job. So that's a really big perk to small classes.
Great, thanks, Cassie. So the next question is, do students use bikes on campus? Are there bike racks? Mitch, I know is his mode of transportation, he said is a skateboard, but I think he'll be able to answer the question on the bikes and bike racks.
Yeah, so there are bike racks outside of most major buildings on campus, definitely outside of all the residence halls. It's not the most common thing in the world to see students use bikes, but there are quite a few that I have seen throughout my 4 years here that do use bikes. I've seen a lot of skateboards, a lot of longboards, and I've even seen a couple of like the little electric scooters or like even the Razor scooters that some students have used. So it's not that big of a campus, so don't feel like you have to bring a bicycle because you've got a bike, a mile or something to class. I mean, it's a 5-minute walk, but sometimes it does, just make it a little bit easier to hop on a set of wheels to get across campus instead of walking.
Great, thanks, Mitch. Next question is there a gym for students to use? Nick.
Yes, there is a gym on campus for students to use. Because we only have one gym, we have to share with the student athletes, and we also have to share with the students who are not in athletics. But it's definitely a big enough size to where you're not waiting for someone to finish their set or finish their rep. There's definitely a lot of equipment where if one machine is taken, there will be 2 or 3 more of the exact same machine for you to use.
Great, thanks, Nick. Next question is, what do you recommend freshmen do to succeed at TLU? We'll start with Cassie.
My biggest tip to any incoming freshman is to really utilize office hours. We kind of discussed this early on in the panel, but office hours is where a professor is just required to be in their office waiting for students to go and ask them questions. TLU actually mandates that each professor has 3 office hours per week. Most of the time they have a lot more. So it's an open door policy. If their door's open and they're in there, even if it's not their office hours, go in there, ask them questions. In my personal experience, if I can't make office hours, I will email them and they will help me find additional times to go work with them. So really just communicate with your professors. Like I said before, they want to see you succeed. They're not going to succeed for you, but if you go and ask them questions, they will help you. And also take advantage of the free tutoring. I know Mitch talked about that too, so take advantage of that. You're here to learn and everyone wants to help you. So just don't be afraid to email and communicate with everyone on campus.
Great, thanks, Cassie. And then Mitch.
So my biggest advice for freshmen is to really try and step out of your comfort zone a little bit. It's very easy to sit in your room and just kind of hang out in there, watch TV, play video games, and not really go out and get involved just because it's probably easier just to sit in your room. But the students who ultimately end up succeeding over the course of their 4 years, and they do a whole lot more with their time at TLU than just get the diploma at the end and learn a few things along the way, are the ones who are really working hard to go out and get involved. And it can be anywhere from across campus with the different organizations, with Greek life. It can be going to SI sessions. It's really just anything to get involved and kind of find that group that you fit in with. And then having that support network, because it definitely goes a long way having a support network of a group of friends with similar interests, or just students that you've met along the way through different organizations to kind of help you along in your process. Because it's definitely easy having that group. But I mean, it can be as simple as just going to sporting events. Even if you don't play a sport, go and get involved at the sporting event, and maybe you meet a group of friends there that you ultimately, your freshman year, you end up graduating with them and you are all best of friends. But it doesn't work out well if you just sit in your room and you don't do a whole lot. So the more time that you can spend out of your room, getting involved, meeting new people, meeting different staff and faculty members, definitely the more long-term success you'll see, not only as a freshman, but throughout your entire time at TLU.
Great, thanks, Mitch. So next question is, will you discuss research opportunities for students? I know in the chat window, I just saw one pop up about research opportunities. So it seems like students are interested in this. So Elise, could you talk about this a little bit more?
Well, I love that this is a question and that students are interested, because TLU has so many research opportunities. It's actually crazy to me because a lot of undergraduate schools, I didn't initially think that they were very heavy on research. And then I learned that TLU is all about that. And I think that's so smart. It helps you prepare for graduate school. A lot of students going into graduate school feel a little bit more prepared because of all the research opportunities that we offer. And some of those include, throughout the semester, you can work closely with a professor in a specific discipline. If you don't choose to do it throughout the semester, we do have summer research as well, and that's in different departments. So I know that there's all of the sciences, they typically have opportunities for summer research and semester research. Some examples are organic chemistry, biology, general chemistry, psychology as well. And I have actually gotten to take part in both the semester and summer research because I am on TLU's synesthesia research team. And so we are externally funded and we get to have fun together studying synesthesia and doing different cool research projects. And even if you don't get to be a part of a research team, or summer research isn't something you're interested in your classes, you might have to do a research project. A lot of psychology classes have you from start to finish do a whole research project by yourself or with a group. We also, if you're in honors, you have the opportunity to do an honors thesis, which is also similar to a senior capstone project, which every senior at TLU does some kind of senior capstone, which that in itself, it's different for different majors, but ultimately you are learning about something in your major, you are either researching or finding new information about it, and then you are also presenting it to your faculty and staff. And then the summer research, you do get paid for that, and they also, you can use the on-campus housing if you are a commuter or if you are out of state.
Great, good information, Elise. So we are almost to the point where we've made it through all of your RSVP questions. We love that you're asking questions, so this is great. I've been seeing them popping up in the chat, so that's great as well. So before we get to the last question, I just want to mention we will try to get to as many of your chat questions as we can tonight. If for some reason we're not able to get to it, we will follow up through email, but we're already getting those in, so we will get to those next. So for the final RSVP question, what type of social events are hosted on campus? What events are held specifically for freshmen? So there were two different questions that kind of go together. So we'll start with Mitch on this question.
So for 2 years, I worked as a peer mentor at TLU, where I basically worked with the first year students. My job was just to help a class of first years of about 20 students make it through that first year on campus at TLU. And so the two main events that the peer mentors did, first was orientation. It's basically 3 days where you're broken up with your Frex class and your peer mentor. So right off the bat, you are automatically ingrained into a class setting. So you're getting to know people from your class and your peer mentor. And we kind of guide you through some activities throughout the day. And then the other big event is the first year celebration, which takes place usually around the end of April, where the peer mentor department basically puts on like a week-long series of events to where we can just celebrate the fact that you made it through your first year of college. And so we've done a whole bunch of different things. We've done a hot cookie night in Hine. We've done karaoke in Hine. We do a hype night where we basically walk through all the freshman dorms and bang on all the doors and play a whole bunch of loud music, and we pass out food and snacks and drinks and all sorts of stuff. So those are the main two that the peer mentors put on, and those are naturally just going to come with your Frex class. So you're automatically going to be involved in those events.
Great, thanks, Mitch. Next, Jesse.
Hey again, you guys. So the one I wanted to talk about as a member of Rest Life again are the kind of area specific events that we take on. So usually we're divided in 3 areas on campus, and the kind of events that we put on are Rec Fest, which is held in the Hine Dining Hall. It basically is a place where some organizations can come out and host games while you are going and eating your lunch and all that jazz. So it's a fun time, stress-free night. We also do Oktoberfest with another area. That one's more focused on educating people about substances and any dangers that are linked to abuse of those substances. So it's more of an educational time, but it's all geared with games and engaging ways to give you the information. That way you're not just reading points on a PowerPoint. So that one's also fun. And lastly, we have a kind of area on the South Hall's side. They hold Boo Bash. That one's more for the community along with you guys, but it definitely is still fun. There was a snow cone maker last year. We had, I think, I can't remember, the cotton candy maker. So we give out a lot of candy, a lot of snacks. So that's a night where you can just come out and come on your cheat day for that one. But just 3 events that we always host in normal years where we can. So keep an eye out for those.
Great, thanks, Jesse. And then finally, Cassie.
So there are tons of social events held on campus, whether you live on campus or you're a commuter. I was personally a commuter all 4 years of my college life. I'm from New Braunfels, so I live pretty close. So, but all of the events are open to, or most of the events are open to everyone. Some of the events that I would like to highlight is the Greek Life puts on a lot of events, especially during the fall semester, because we actually don't rush during the fall semester, we rush during the spring semester. So the first semester is really for you guys to just learn about the different kinds of Greek life that's on campus, go meet new people, and then kind of really learn to be a college student before kind of joining another organization. So take that time. A lot of students come out, we do really fun events. We give away t-shirts, we give away different goodies, I like to call them. A lot of the time there's free food, and once you get to college, you'll understand how amazing free food and free t-shirts are. It's like the gold mine of anything. So, and plus you get to do fun events while meeting not only other freshmen who are interested in the same things, or Now I'm interested in Greek, like they just want to meet new people. Plus you get to meet upperclassmen too, who may be in the same major as you, who is again, another connection. So that's what I like to say about social activities.
Great, thanks, Cassie. So that concludes our part with the RSVP submission. So we're now moving on to questions through the chat feature. And again, we're going to try to get through as many as we can and follow up with an email after this if we're not able to get through them. But the first one is actually directed towards Elise. So Elise, this one specifically to you. So they were wondering, how is it like to be an integrated sciences major and what is it exactly about? Also, do you want to go to the medical field? If so, do you feel like it prepared you for the MCAT? So whatever feedback, I know that's a lot of questions you have, and then if anyone else has feedback, they can chime in as well. But yeah, we'll start with you, Elise.
So I have actually loved being an integrated science major. I wasn't too sure what it was at first, but I was able to speak to the professor in charge. And that's ultimately what, that was my final thing to let me know that I need to go to TLU, because I wanted to, or I still want to be an occupational therapist. And so I will be going to graduate school for that following graduation. And I knew that I didn't want to just do kinesiology. And so I was able to do all the different sciences, because integrated science, you take physics, chemistry, different psychology classes, you do it all. But I really liked that because I got to be immersed in not just one major. And so I got to be a little bit in the kinesiology department. And then I was also in the science department and the psychology department. And especially for my friends going to medical school, the MCAT is now requiring some psychology and sociology classes. Those are on the MCAT. So this is designed to kind of build those classes into the degree plan instead of having you take it as an elective. But definitely you can be a biochem major or a chemistry major or a molecular biology major like Jessie. And you can still be prepared for medical school and the MCAT. But integrated science major is one way to go. And especially if you do the Bachelor of Science, you're able to have all of the classes required for medical school in your span of 4 years here. And then if you do the Bachelor of Arts, which I'm doing, you're able to specialize in a certain science area. So I specialized in psychology, and that's also how I was able to get my double major in psychology. So I've learned a lot, and it's been really great. I know that my friends who are preparing for medical school, one of my friends is actually taking the MCAT this Saturday. They feel a little nervous, of course, because it's a big test, but they feel very prepared. Aside from learning so much in their rigorous science classes, they are also in an MCAT study course. And so with those two combined, I think they're going to be really successful.
Great feedback, Elise. Thanks. So the next question, well, we've gotten a lot of questions about commuters having the option of getting involved. So if anyone could talk about how commuters can get involved on campus or anything about that experience.
I can talk about it. So I was a commuter all 4 years of TLU. I think I've mentioned that in my previous answer. And I was really scared that I wasn't going to get involved at TLU, but it's super easy to get involved at TLU. They do a lot of things, and I would really recommend it. I know it can be a little scary, especially your freshman year, but do it. It's super fun. And they actually really do cater to commuters. They have a commuter social. They have 2 every semester. So one's more of a breakfast thing where they hand out bagels and coffee. And then one is more of a lunch thing. So you pay $1 and they cater your food for you. So it's like Chick-fil-A, it's barbecue, it's all different kinds of foods. And then you get to sit down. It's a really amazing thing, $1 for a really nice lunch. And you get to sit down with other commuters and kind of just talk and hang out and find that group of people. So it's really nice. If you are going to be a commuter, just get involved, put yourself out there because it's going to be worth it.
Great, thanks, Cassie. So the next question we have, is there an online way that students are informed of new assignments, deadlines, rubrics, etc.? So we'll start with Nick.
So yes, there is. Here at TLU, we call it the portal. It's pretty much kind of your one-stop shop for all the classes that you're taking at the time during a semester. On the portal, you'll find all of your classes where your professors will put in past grades or past assignments that they've graded. They'll put in future assignments. They'll put in practice problems. They'll put in their like now with Zoom and everything, a lot of professors have been recording their lectures. So they'll put their lectures up on the portal, PowerPoints, stuff like that. So.
Great, thanks, Nick. So the next question we have, do students have mailboxes on campus to receive mail? And we'll go with Mitch.
So as long as you live on campus, you will have a mailbox that you can have mail delivered directly to. You just have to address it to the university's address, and then you'll be assigned a specific mailbox. So if you're getting something shipped from home, mom and dad just need to write the university's address and then your mailbox number. Or most online retailers will have the option as like an address line too. You just put your box number there. And so that's available for you for the entire time that you live on campus. But if you move off campus and you still want to keep your mailbox, you just have to go to the post office and request it, and they can sort that out for you. So that way you can still have your mail sent directly to the university.
Great, thanks, Mitch. So we are running out of time. So we do have one final question. And again, we will follow up with other questions that were submitted through the chat feature after the program. So the last question what has been your favorite class at TLU? And we'll start with Jesse.
Awesome. So as I said, I was a music minor. That is because when I first started here at TLU, I was a music education major, and then I had switched into the molecular biology field. But when I was doing music education, I took a education class as I was preparing to teach, and it was elementary music. So that class was really, really fulfilling. It allowed me to kind of develop my teachable skills, how to interact with students that were younger than me, because I hadn't known yet that not everything is just able to be understood out of my mouth. I have to learn how to talk to multiple people. So that was fun. And also my professor was kind of the first professor where I really learned that you are being prepared to be a representation of the school, and they want the best for you. My professor made sure I left with a great wealth of knowledge, and also just he always made sure that I knew he was there for me.
Thanks, Jesse. Cassie.
So my favorite class has been a design class. It was for one of my business classes, and I just think it was super beneficial because we learned how to create a product or a service, and we actually did real-time testing on a service. So we were put into groups and we would host like mock services. So I was like a breakfast place, and we provided that to the students. And the reason I think it's so great is because even though it's a business class, I think any major can benefit from taking that class. You just really learn how to create something that's helpful for people, because so many times we create products and we don't think of how it will actually affect people and how it can help grow. So I just really enjoyed that class, and I think if you have time in your schedule, I would really recommend it for any major.
Thanks, Cassie. And we'll go with Mitch.
So my favorite class is actually one that I'm in right now. It's called Business Communications. It's for my business minor and one of my specializations within kinesiology. And the class focuses really heavily on just how you interact in the business world. At the end of the day, we're all going to be professionals in something or another. So you do have to understand how to communicate in a professional manner. So the professor does a very good job of not only giving you like the textbook definitions and methods of how to be professional, how to communicate professionally, but she actually goes so far as to put together projects or assignments to where you are talking with business professionals. So Actually, just today, I interviewed with a gentleman who is the president of a financial firm. And it was just an opportunity for me to get to know like the interview process and really understanding what it means to go through a professional interview. Even though he's not going to hire me, I'm actually not even planning on going into anything remotely similar to financial planning. I'm going into chiropractic once I graduate. But it was just an opportunity for me to learn how to interview and talk with the professional and really get to know what it means to be a business professional. And it's beyond just the normal classroom setting.
Great, thanks, Mitch. And then finally, Nick.
So one of my favorite, if not my favorite class that I've taken here at TLU has been art appreciation. I'm a kinesiology major, and so I really had no business taking an art class if you think about it, but TLU being a liberal arts college or university, they definitely do a good job here at kind of making you a well-rounded student. So I haven't, for my 3 years here, I haven't been just taking solely kinesiology, anatomy, rehabilitation classes. I've been able to take plenty of history classes, like I said, art appreciation, and a couple dramatic media classes as well.
Great, thanks, Nick. So you'll notice in the chat feature, we just asked that, if you could send, it looks like going through this, to send your first and last name. And we do want to answer your question. So we'll follow up with an email. And then also I wanted to mention that we will have our admissions reps follow up with you as well through phone. So we just want to make sure your questions get answered and you get assistance with that. So do expect an email and also a phone call from your admissions rep just to kind of follow up after this event. So I want to thank the panelists for being with us today. I appreciate you sharing your TLU story. For all who are watching this panel, we're glad that you were able to join us today. We hope this gave you a better understanding of the TLU student experience. So I do want to mention, if you are looking to learn more about the admission and enrollment process, we are hosting sessions that are virtual, and then we are also open for on-campus visits as well. So I do just want to highlight some of our virtual options, since that's kind of how we're meeting today. So we do have a general admission session that's for students that are wanting to know more about application process and scholarship opportunities. I know that you have already gone through that process, but that's also an option for students that are looking to apply that you may know. We do offer individual appointments through Zoom or phone. So if you would like to meet one-on-one with an admissions representative or with the financial aid representative, we can set that up for you through Zoom or phone. And then this is a series, as I mentioned before, so it's called the Tlu Showcase. So we are trying to showcase different members in our community, so you're able to kind of interact with them and see them on the screen. So today, obviously, with students, and then we'll also have one with alumni and faculty. So that's something that you can also RSVP for as well. So I think that link just went, or it will about go through. Yeah, I see it there. So a link went out where you can RSVP. And so all of our virtual events and our on-campus event will be on that page. So that is it for today. I really did appreciate your questions. Y'all had great questions, and we hope you stay well, and we hope to see you at TLU soon. See you later.